Hi everyone, I'm Josh.
I'm Gabe.
We're from Balanced Body Rehab, and the guy between us here is Fred. Fred and Gabe have something in common. If you look at them, they both are standing in what would appear to be really good posture to the general public, okay? But from our perspective, it's not so good a posture. It's a military posture. It's a lifted rib cage posture. But when people lift their rib cage too much, it tends to destabilize their spine, okay? We believe at Balanced Body Rehab that the body is composed of basic building blocks, that when you stack those building blocks up on top of one another in correct alignment, that structure is inherently more stable. Makes sense, right? And so one of those building blocks of the body is your pelvis, okay? That makes up one building block, okay? But the next building block up is going to be your rib cage, okay? And the building block on top of that is the head. If you simply stack on top of each other all those building blocks, you get a strong cylinder is what we call it. So we're always focused on the core cylinder and making sure that can be in its optimal alignment. Okay, when you stand with a lifted rib cage, like Gabe and the skeleton are here, okay, then the top cylinder on the pelvis, the top block on the pelvis is tilted backwards. That makes a weak structure. Kind of like if you took an aluminum can and you put a dent in it. Then you can simply, with your hands, crush that aluminum can. Okay, it's not a strong structure. But if that aluminum can maintains its good cylinder shape and doesn't have any dents in it, it's hard to crush with your hands. Okay, so that's a strong shape. So we're always trying to achieve that strong shape for our patients. A lot of times though, our patients can have a lot of tightness in their chest that causes them to be pulled forward. Gabe, demonstrate how the tight chest makes you pull forward. Good, and you look at Gabe's head's facing the ground. That doesn't look nearly as good as what he was doing previous. I mean, he doesn't look as confident there. Everybody wants to be confident. Everybody wants to raise their head up. So when people have a tight chest, it's hard to open up. So what do instead, Gabe? They do that. They puff out the chest, they lift, and so it looks really confident, but when the rib cage lifts up like that, that messes up our cylinder, okay, messes up our core alignment. Then that puts more stress and it loads our lower back joints. Gabe, you doing okay there? You need to take a break? Yeah. If it loads the lower back, that's what puts extra pressure on our joints here. By having the rib cage too lifted, then the head comes forward too in relation to that and gives us more stress in our neck. If you kind of look at the general population and where people mostly have pain, it's going to be at the lower neck and the lower back. And if people are having surgeries in those areas, it's going to be in, if people are going to have surgery on the spine, it's going to be in the lower part of the cervical spine or the lower part of the lumbar spine. That's the most prevalent areas. Very seldom do people have surgery in their mid-back or in their thoracic spine. That's because typically that area is so much more stable and stiff because of the inherent tightness we get in our rib cage and in our chest. So what we're focused on at Balanced Body Rehab is we really focus on mobility of the chest and the whole rib cage to allow a more equal distribution of force throughout the whole spine. We call the rib cage the distribution center because if it's moving and you're going to be jumping or you're going to be reaching and pushing and pulling, when your rib cage is moving, it helps distribute those forces equally throughout the whole spinal system. But whenever it's really rigid like a block, instead of it absorbing force through this area, it shifts it to the neck or to the lower back. That's why when people are lifting weights, they'll sometimes say, I always feel it in my neck or I always feel it in my lower back. It's because your distribution center a lot of times isn't mobile enough. Or another example is people will not have pain in their back when they're standing up, but when they lie down on a flat, hard surface, they'll say, oh, now my lower back hurts. Well, a lot of times, again, if your rib cage isn't mobile enough, when you lie on a flat surface, the surface is pushing on the rib cage can't adapt to that surface, and so it shifts it to the lower back or the neck. That's why some people have trouble sleeping without pain. So those are just some brief examples. So we have put together some other videos on our YouTube channel if you want to check those out about chest mobility and also rib cage mobility. So if you want to check those out, hopefully that will help you with any condition you may have. And if those exercises don't help, then give us a call.